The red wrapping paper caught my eye first. It wasn't the crimson package with the silver bow that Robert had placed under our Christmas tree 3 nights earlier, the one with my name written in his familiar handwriting. No, this was another gift entirely. Small, elegantly wrapped. A delicate gold tag hanging from its emerald ribbon that simply read, "To my dearest Robert, all my love, Jessica." I stood frozen in our living room, the morning sunlight streaming through the windows, illuminating 23 years of marriage crumbling before my eyes. My fingers trembled as I picked up the unfamiliar package, the weight of it nothing compared to the heaviness settling in my chest. The Christmas tree lights blinked mindlessly, casting colorful shadows across the hardwood floors of our Chicago home. The home we'd built together, the home where we'd raised our children, the home that suddenly felt like it belonged to strangers. I sat down slowly on our cream-colored sofa, the one Robert had complained was too expensive when I'd insisted on buying it 4 years ago. The package felt hot in my hands, burning through my skin like acid. Jessica. Who was Jessica? The name circled in my mind like a vulture. Jessica? A colleague? A friend? No, this wasn't a gift from a casual acquaintance. My dearest Robert. All my love. The intimacy of those words stabbed through me like daggers. Outside, snow began to fall. Thick, heavy flakes that muted the sounds of our suburban neighborhood. Our neighbors, the Hendersons, were stringing extra lights on their already garishly decorated house. Their daughter, Emma, was building a snowman in their front yard, her red mittens bright against the white snow. Normal. Everything looked so normal while my world was shattering. I heard Robert's car pull into the garage. The familiar sound of the door closing, his footsteps on the concrete, keys jingling. I didn't move, couldn't move. The evidence sat in my lap, damning and undeniable. 23 years, 2 children now in college, a mortgage nearly paid off, retirement plans for a cabin by Lake Michigan. All of it suddenly cast into doubt by a small box wrapped in shiny red paper. "Ellen, I'm home early. The office closed because of the snow." His voice echoed from the hallway. Cheerful, ordinary. A stranger's voice now. I didn't answer, just waited, the gift still in my lap, my eyes fixed on the Christmas tree that now seemed like a gaudy monument to our shared deception. He'd helped me decorate it, hanging the ornaments our children had made over the years, lifting me to place the star on top, all while knowing, all while hiding. His footsteps grew closer. "Ellen, you in here?" He rounded the corner into our living room, shaking snow from his coat. Robert Patterson, my husband of 23 years, silver streaking his once entirely dark hair, laugh lines around his eyes that I used to trace with my finger at night. The father of my children, a stranger wearing my husband's face. He saw me sitting there, noticed my expression, then his eyes dropped to the gift in my hands. I watched as recognition flooded his features, followed quickly by panic. The color drained from his face. For a moment, neither of us spoke. The only sound was the soft Christmas music playing from the speaker in the corner, Bing Crosby crooning about a white Christmas. "Ellen," he started, his voice cracking. "I can explain." "Can you?" My voice sounded foreign to my own ears. Calm, too calm. "Can you explain who Jessica is, Robert? Can you explain why she's giving my husband gifts signed with all my love? Can you explain why her present is under our family Christmas tree?" He stepped forward, then stopped, as if hitting an invisible wall. "It's not what you think, isn't it?" I stood now, the package still in my hands. "Because I think another woman is giving my husband intimate gifts. I think my husband is having an affair. Ellen, please." "How long?" The question cut through the room like a blade. "How long, Robert?" His silence was my answer. "I'm Ellen Patterson, 52 years old, and until that moment beneath our Christmas tree, I thought I knew exactly who I was. A wife. A mother, the woman who had spent over half her life building a home and a family in our suburban Chicago neighborhood of Lincoln Park. My days had a comforting rhythm to them. Wake up at 6 a.m. Prepare coffee for Robert, black with 1 sugar. Check emails for my part-time accounting job that I'd scaled back when the kids were young and never quite scaled back up. Call our daughter Megan at Northwestern to make sure she was eating something other than ramen noodles. Text our son, Brian, at Ohio State, knowing he'd respond days later with a thumbs-up emoji and nothing more. Typical college sophomore. Our house on Magnolia Avenue wasn't the biggest on the block, but I'd poured my heart into every corner of it. The kitchen with its blue tiles that I'd installed myself one summer while Robert was away on business. The garden out back where I grew tomatoes and herbs, struggling against Chicago's harsh winters. The living room with its collection of family photos chronicling birthdays, graduations, and vacations to the Florida Keys. I'd given up a promising career in corporate accounting to raise our children. It's just temporary, I'd told myself when Megan was born. But temporary stretched into years, and by the time both kids were in school, I found myself left behind professionally. Robert's career at the investment firm had flourished while mine had withered. I told myself it was worth it. The sacrifice was worth it for our family. When the kids left for college, I found myself rattling around in a house too big and too quiet. I joined a book club at the local library, started taking yoga classes at the community center, volunteered at the food pantry on Tuesdays. Small things to fill the expanding emptiness. Robert worked later and later. Weekend golf games with clients, business trips that grew more frequent. "It's for us," he would say. "For our retirement. Just a few more years of this pace, and then I'll slow down. We'll travel, do all those things we've talked about." I believed him. I waited. Patient Ellen. Understanding Ellen. The same Ellen who held Robert's hand through his father's long illness, who drove 8 hours to pick him up when he was stranded during a business trip because he was afraid of flying. The Ellen who managed our household budget so carefully that we could afford to help both our children with college tuition without drowning in debt. Our marriage wasn't perfect. What marriage is? But I thought we had weathered the hard years. The early struggles with too little money and too many responsibilities. The middle years when the children consumed every ounce of energy we had. The brief, difficult period when Robert lost his job during the recession and drank too much for nearly 6 months before finding a new position. We had survived, or so I thought. My friends envied what they saw as my perfect life. Susan, divorced twice and struggling with her teenage son's behavioral issues, would sigh over coffee and say, "You're so lucky, Ellen. Robert is such a good man." Diane, whose husband barely acknowledged her existence, would watch Robert bring me a drink at neighborhood gatherings and whisper, "He still looks at you like you're 25. Even my sister Catherine, living in her Manhattan apartment with her successful art gallery and rotating cast of boyfriends, would call during her lonely moments and say, "Sometimes I wonder if I made the wrong choice. You have something real, Ellen." Real. The word echoed in my mind as I stood in my living room, holding tangible proof that what I thought was real was actually an elaborate illusion. The Christmas season had always been my favorite. I spent weeks selecting perfect gifts for everyone, planning our traditional Christmas Eve dinner, baking cookies from my grandmother's recipes. This year, I'd been especially excited. Both kids were coming home for the full week between Christmas and New Year's. I'd already prepared their rooms, bought their favorite snacks, planned meals around their preferences. That morning, I'd been arranging presents under the tree, making sure each person had the same number of packages to open. That's when I noticed it, tucked behind the larger boxes, partially hidden by the tree skirt. A gift I hadn't wrapped, in paper I didn't recognize, with a name I didn't know written in handwriting that wasn't mine. Now, standing before Robert, I realized how blind I'd been. The late nights, the weekend emergencies at the office, the business trips that couldn't be rescheduled, the new cologne he'd started wearing 6 months ago, the passwords changed on his phone, the way he took calls in another room, all the classic signs, and I'd missed every one of them. "Ellen," Robert said, taking a careful step toward me, "I need you to listen to me. It's complicated." "Is it?" I replied, my voice steadier than I expected. "Because from where I'm standing it seems incredibly simple. There's another woman, isn't there, Robert? Jessica. And she's not just a colleague or a friend, is she?" He didn't answer, but his eyes, those familiar blue eyes I'd looked into for over 2 decades, told me everything I needed to know. "How could you?" The words came out as barely a whisper, my throat constricting around them. "In our home, under our tree." Robert ran his hands through his hair, a nervous habit I'd once found endearing. Now it just seemed like the gesture of a stranger. "It was a mistake to bring it here. I never meant for you to find it." "A mistake?" My voice rose. "The mistake wasn't bringing her gift home, Robert. The mistake was accepting it in the first place. The mistake was her." He looked at me with an expression I couldn't quite place. Pity? Irritation? Whatever it wasn't remorse. "You don't understand, Ellen. Things haven't been right between us for a long time. The audacity of his statement hit me like a physical blow. And whose fault is that? While you've been building your career and apparently your relationship with Jessica, I've been here, waiting, supporting, believing in us. That's not fair, he said, his voice hardening. You chose to step back from your career. You chose to make your life about this house, about the kids. I never asked you to give up everything else. I gave it up for us. The calm was evaporating now, replaced by a building rage I scarcely recognized. For our family, because someone had to be here when the kids got home from school. Someone had to make sure our home wasn't just a place to sleep between workdays. Robert sighed, a sound so dismissive it made my hands clench into fists. Ellen, this isn't productive. We should talk about this when we're both calmer. Calmer? You want me to be calm about finding out my husband is cheating on me? On Christmas? With our children coming home in 2 days? I threw the red package at him. He caught it reflexively, then stared at it in his hands as if it might explode. What is it anyway? What did your mistress give you that was so special you had to hide it under our family Christmas tree? She's not my... He stopped himself, but it was too late. Not your what, Robert? Not your mistress? What would you call her then? Your girlfriend? Your lover? Your side piece? Help me find the right term for the woman who's destroying my marriage. He placed the package on the coffee table carefully, as if it were made of glass. I didn't want it to happen like this. I was going to tell you after the holidays, after the kids had gone back to school. How considerate of you. I spat, sarcasm dripping from every word. Waiting until after Christmas to blow up our family. Should I be grateful for your timing? Ellen, please. You're making this harder than it needs to be. Harder than it needs to be? I was shouting now, my voice bouncing off the walls of our living room. How exactly is finding out my husband is unfaithful supposed to be easy? It's not what you think. Robert's voice rose to match mine. Jessica isn't just some fling. She's important to me. The words landed like a slap. Important to him. Not a momentary lapse in judgment. Not a mistake. Something that mattered. Someone who mattered. How long? I asked again, needing to know yet dreading the answer. Robert looked away, his gaze settling on the family portrait above our fireplace. Us at Brian's high school graduation 2 years ago. All smiles, all lies. 8 months, he finally said. 8 months. While I was planning our anniversary dinner in June, he was with her. While I was nursing him through a summer flu, he was thinking of her. While I was sending him sweet text messages during his September business trip to Boston, he was probably with her. Do you love her? The question burned my lips as it escaped. His hesitation was answer enough. I see. I turned away, unable to look at him any longer. And was your plan to leave me for her after the holidays? Or were you going to suggest some modern arrangement where you got to have both of us? Ellen, that's not fair. I've been unhappy for a long time. We both have. We just go through the motions. We barely talk. We haven't been intimate in months. And whose fault is that? I whirled back around. I've been here, Robert. Every night. It's you who's been coming home late. Too tired to even have a conversation, let alone anything else. Because there's nothing to come home to, he shouted, then immediately looked regretful. I didn't mean... Yes, you did. I felt something cold and hard settling in my stomach. You meant exactly that. Nothing to come home to. Just your boring, middle-aged wife in her comfortable house with her comfortable routines. That's not what I... Does she make you feel young, Robert? Is that it? How old is she? 30? 35? Does she look at you with wide-eyed admiration when you tell your tired old stories about college glory days? Does she laugh at your jokes like they're the funniest things she's ever heard? Does she make you feel important? Stop it, Ellen. No, I want to know. I deserve to know what was so compelling that you were willing to throw away 23 years of marriage. What does she have that was worth destroying our family over? She understands me, he said quietly. 3 words. Simple words. Yet they cut deeper than any others could have, because the implication was clear. I didn't understand him, had never understood him. All those years I thought we were partners, building a life together, and he had felt misunderstood, alone. Get out, I whispered. What? Get out of this house. Now. Take her gift with you. Go to her. Go wherever you want. But get out of my sight before I do or say something we'll both regret. He stared at me, seemingly shocked by my demand. Ellen, this is my house too. You can't just... Watch me. I walked to the front door and flung it open. Cold air and snowflakes rushed in. "Leave, now. Or I swear to God, Robert, I will call every person we know, starting with our children, and tell them exactly what their father has been doing for the past 8 months." Robert left, the red package clutched in his hand, the door closing behind him with a quiet click that somehow hurt more than a slam would have. I stood in the silence of our home, feeling the walls pressing in around me. 23 years, almost a quarter-century of memories now tainted. I wandered through the rooms like a ghost, touching photographs, running my fingers over furniture, each item a marker of our shared history. The dining table where we'd eaten thousands of meals together, the desk where I'd helped both children with their homework, the bedroom where we'd slept side by side for over 2 decades. I found myself in the attic before I realized where my feet were taking me. Our history was boxed up here among the dust and forgotten things. I pulled out albums, certificates, children's artwork preserved in plastic sleeves, evidence of a life I thought was solid. The first photograph album I opened showed us in our 20s, me with permed hair and padded shoulders, Robert with that ridiculous mustache he'd grown in college. We looked so young, so hopeful. I remembered the day we met, a mutual friend's barbecue in Lincoln Park. I'd spilled my drink on his new shoes, and instead of being annoyed, he'd laughed and said it gave them character. We talked until the party ended, and he asked for my number while helping me into a taxi. I turned pages, watching our relationship unfold in fading photographs. Our first apartment, barely larger than a closet, with the leaky faucet and the window that wouldn't close properly in winter. We could barely afford the rent, but we were happy. Robert was just starting at the investment firm, making coffee runs and working 16-hour days. I was at a mid-sized accounting firm, handling payroll for small businesses and dreaming of moving up to financial planning. We saved every penny for 2 years to afford the down payment on our first home, a tiny 2-bedroom fixer-upper in a neighborhood that was far from fashionable at the time. The photograph of us standing in front of it, paint splattered and exhausted but beaming with pride, brought tears to my eyes. We'd worked on that house together every weekend for months, learning to lay tile and hang drywall from YouTube videos before YouTube even existed. Then came the photos of me pregnant with Megan, my body swollen, Robert's hand on my belly, both of us terrified and thrilled at the prospect of becoming parents. The night my water broke, Robert had been so flustered he'd tried to drive to the hospital with me still in my bathrobe, no overnight bag packed. I'd been the calm one, directing him through my contractions. Megan's birth had been difficult, 36 hours of labor ending in an emergency C-section. Robert hadn't left my side, not even when the nurses suggested he get some rest. He'd held my hand through every contraction, wiped my face with cool cloths, advocated for me when I was too exhausted to speak for myself. Afterward, he'd slept in the uncomfortable hospital chair for 3 nights, unwilling to leave his new daughter and recovering wife. When I was offered a promotion that would have meant long hours and frequent travel just as Megan turned 2, we'd sat up all night discussing our options. The decision for me to step back had been mutual. "Your career will be there later," Robert had said. "These years with Megan won't come again." He'd promised to support whatever I chose, and when I decided to decline the promotion to stay home more, he'd worked even harder at his own job to make sure we'd be okay financially. Brian came 3 years later, a surprise addition when we thought our family was complete. The photographs showed Robert teaching Megan to hold her baby brother, his arms encircling both children, his face a portrait of pride. Robert had taken 2 weeks off work when Brian was born, unheard of for men at his firm in those days. He'd changed diapers, cooked meals, handled midnight feedings with formula so I could recover. The financial crisis hit when the children were still in elementary school. Robert lost his job in the first wave of layoffs. The pictures from that time showed the strain on his face, the new lines around his eyes. For 6 months, we lived on my part-time income and our savings. Robert drank too much and slept too little. I would find him at 3 a.m, staring at job listings on his laptop, a glass of whiskey by his side. I stood by him, helped him update his resume, practiced interview questions with him, assured him that we would survive this. When he finally found a new position, a step down from his previous role but a foot back in the door, I threw him a surprise party with all our friends. The photograph of his face when he walked into that gathering still showed his love for me, his gratitude, didn't it? Our 20th anniversary trip to Italy. Robert had saved for 3 years to surprise me with it. 2 weeks exploring Florence, Rome, Venice. In one photo, we stood on a bridge over the Grand Canal, his arm around my waist, both of us squinting into the setting sun. He'd kissed me there and said, 20 years isn't nearly enough. I want at least 60 with you. Had he meant it? Or was it just something he thought he should say? When Megan left for college, I'd been the one who cried for days afterward. Robert had held me, brought me tea, reminded me that we'd raised her to fly. We've given her roots and wings, he'd said. Now we get to see her soar. When his mother died 3 years ago, I'd organized the funeral while he grieved, handled the estate paperwork, sat with him through nights when grief made sleep impossible, listened to him tell the same stories about his childhood over and over, never tiring of them because they helped him process his loss. Throughout our marriage, I'd made his favorite meals when he'd had a hard day at work, kept the children quiet when he needed to concentrate on an important presentation, handled household crises during his business trips so he wouldn't worry, supported every career move, every hobby, every friendship, even the ones I found tedious or difficult. And now, Jessica understood him in ways I never had. What a cruel revision of our history. The doorbell rang just as darkness was falling. I'd been sitting in the dim living room for hours, Christmas tree lights blinking in an obscene mockery of holiday cheer. My phone showed 17 missed calls from Robert. I hadn't answered any of them. I assumed it was him at the door, having forgotten his key in his haste to leave, or perhaps returning to collect some belongings for his night away. I briefly considered not answering, but something propelled me forward. A need for confrontation, perhaps, or closure. It wasn't Robert. "Diane," I said, surprised to find my neighbor on my doorstep, bundled in her puffy winter coat, a covered dish in her gloved hands. "What are you doing here?" "I brought lasagna," she said, as if that explained everything. "Can I come in? It's freezing out here." I stepped aside automatically, social conditioning overriding my desire to be alone. "This isn't a good time, Diane. I'm dealing with something." "I know," she interrupted, heading straight for my kitchen as if she owned the place. "Robert called Tom about an hour ago, asked if he could stay with us tonight, said you two had a fight." The betrayal hit me anew. Not only was Robert having an affair, but he was now spreading our business throughout the neighborhood. "He said we had a fight?" My voice sounded hollow, even to my own ears. Diane placed the lasagna on my counter and turned to face me, her expression a mixture of pity and curiosity that made my stomach turn. He didn't give details, just said he needed a place to crash and asked if we had room. Tom told him we've got my mother staying in the guest room for the holidays. "How inconvenient for him," I said bitterly. "I suppose he'll have to find another neighbor to impose on. Or maybe he'll just go to Jessica." The name slipped out before I could stop it. Diane's eyes widened slightly. "Jessica? Who's Jessica?" Too late to take it back now. "Apparently, she's the woman my husband has been sleeping with for the past 8 months. I found her Christmas gift to him under our tree this morning. To my dearest Robert, all my love, Jessica." Diane's hand flew to her mouth. "Oh my God, Ellen. I had no idea. I'm so sorry." Her sympathy should have been comforting. Instead, it felt like salt in a wound. All these years, I'd been the one others envied, the one with the stable marriage, the perfect life. Now I would be the object of their pity. Poor Ellen, whose husband left her for a younger woman. "Does anyone else know?" Diane asked, already pulling out her phone. I moved quickly, placing my hand over hers. "No, and I'd appreciate if you didn't spread this around. My children don't know yet. They'll be home in 2 days for Christmas." "Of course," Diane said, but I could see the wheels turning behind her eyes. This was too juicy a piece of gossip to keep to herself. By tomorrow, every woman in our book club would know. By the end of the week, the entire neighborhood. As if summoned by my darkest thoughts, my phone buzzed with a text. "Megan, Dad just called. Said you kicked him out? What's going on?" The room seemed to tilt beneath my feet. He'd told our daughter? Before I could decide what to say, my phone rang. Brian's face appeared on the screen. "I need to take this," I said to Diane, who was watching me with undisguised fascination. "Of course. I'll just put this in the fridge for you." She gestured to the lasagna but made no move to leave. I stepped into the living room and answered my son's call. "Brian, honey, Mom, what the hell is going on?" His voice was tight with anger. "Dad just called me, practically in tears, saying you threw him out of the house. 2 days before Christmas? Brian, it's complicated. Your father and he said you wouldn't even listen to him, that you just went crazy and started screaming at him." That's not like you, Mom. Not like me? How would he know what was like me? He was away at college, living his own life, showing up for holidays and breaks, barely noticing his parents except as providers of food and money. Your father isn't being entirely truthful about what happened, I said carefully, aware that Diane was openly eavesdropping from the kitchen doorway. So you didn't throw him out? I did, but Jesus, Mom, where's he supposed to go? It's Christmas. Brian, please listen to me. There's more to this story than what your father told you. Whatever, Mom. I don't care what you guys are fighting about. You can't just throw Dad out at Christmas. What about our family traditions? What about Christmas Eve dinner? What about Megan and me coming home? My throat tightened. He didn't care what the fight was about. Didn't even ask. Just assumed I was being unreasonable. His father, the man who had missed at least a third of his baseball games growing up, who had been too busy to help with college applications, who had forgotten his 18th birthday entirely, that man got the benefit of the doubt. But me, the mother who had never missed a game, a concert, a parent-teacher conference, I was being judged and found wanting without even a hearing. Brian, I'll explain everything when you get home, but right now I need you to trust me. This is serious and it's not something I did lightly. Whatever. I've got to go. My study group is waiting. He hung up without saying goodbye. I stood there, phone in hand, feeling as if I'd been punched. From the kitchen, Diane cleared her throat. I should probably get going. Tom will be wondering where I am. She brushed past me, heading for the door, no doubt eager to call every woman she knew with this fresh piece of drama. At the door, she paused and turned back. For what it's worth, Ellen, I always thought Robert seemed too good to be true. Men like that, who seem perfect on the surface, they usually have the biggest secrets. The door closed behind her, leaving me alone with her parting shot. Too good to be true, as if she'd been expecting this all along, as if, beneath her envy of my perfect marriage, she'd been waiting for it to crumble, perhaps even hoping for it. My phone buzzed again. Another text from Megan. Mom, please call me. What's going on with you and Dad? He won't tell me anything except that you're going through something. Are you sick? Is that what this is about? At least my daughter was concerned about me, rather than immediately taking her father's side. But now Robert was implying there was something wrong with me, that I was going through something, as if finding out about his affair was some kind of temporary mental break on my part. Before I could call Megan, the doorbell rang again. This time, when I pulled it open, I found Robert standing there. He wasn't alone. Beside him stood a woman I'd never seen before. Young, mid-30s at most. Tall, slender, with the kind of effortless beauty that comes from good genes and expensive skincare. Dark hair falling in perfect waves around a heart-shaped face. Designer coat that probably cost more than my entire winter wardrobe. Ellen, Robert said, his voice carefully controlled. This is Jessica. We need to talk. You brought her to our home? The words came out in a whisper, shock rendering me nearly mute. Jessica had the decency to look uncomfortable, her eyes darting between Robert and me. Maybe this isn't the best idea, Rob. I can wait in the car. Rob, not Robert. The casual intimacy of the nickname was another knife twist. No, Robert said firmly. We need to clear this up now. All three of us. I felt something shift inside me. A breaking, yes, but also a strange clarity descending. As if a fog I hadn't even known was there had suddenly lifted. I stepped back from the door. Come in then. By all means, let's all chat together. One big, happy conversation. They entered cautiously, Jessica hanging back slightly as if expecting me to attack her. Robert led her to the living room, his hand on the small of her back, in a gesture so familiar it made me nauseous. How many times had he guided me that way over the years? Sit, I said, gesturing to the sofa. Our sofa, where we'd watched movies, nursed sick children, made love in the early years when we couldn't keep our hands off each other. They sat, together, not at opposite ends of the sofa, but side by side, a united front. I remained standing. Well, you wanted to talk, so talk. Robert cleared his throat. Ellen, first of all, I want to apologize for how you found out. That was never how I intended. Skip the apology, I interrupted. It's meaningless. He looked taken aback. Robert wasn't used to me interrupting him. Patient Ellen always let him finish his thoughts. Ellen, Jessica spoke now, her voice soft and measured. Practiced. I know this is incredibly difficult for you. I never wanted to hurt anyone. I laughed, the sound sharp and brittle. Yet here you are in my home with my husband. Seems like hurting me is exactly what you wanted. That's not fair, Robert said, frowning. Fair? I repeated. You want to talk to me about fair, Robert? Is it fair that I've spent 23 years building a life with you only to have you throw it away? Is it fair that you've lied to me for 8 months? Is it fair that you called our children and made me out to be the villain in this story? I didn't, he started. Yes, you did. Brian just called me, angry that I threw poor Dad out at Christmas. What exactly did you tell our children, Robert? He had the grace to look embarrassed. I was upset. I didn't know what to say to them. The truth would have been a good start. Jessica shifted uncomfortably. Perhaps I should let the two of you discuss this privately. Oh no, I said, pinning her with my gaze. You're part of this now. You don't get to hide in the car while Robert deals with the inconvenient wife. She flinched slightly but held my gaze. I understand you're angry. You understand nothing about me. I cut her off. You know what Robert has told you, which, given his talent for deception, I'm guessing isn't the whole truth. Robert stood up, his face flushing with anger. That's enough, Ellen. I didn't bring Jessica here to be attacked. Why did you bring her here exactly? To show off your new model? To rub my face in it? Or did you think I'd be so charmed by her I'd just step aside quietly? I brought her here because I want to be honest, finally, about everything. Honesty. Now, after 8 months of lies. How noble of you. Ellen, please sit down, Robert said, his tone softening. There's more to this situation than you know. Something in his voice made me pause. I sat in the armchair across from them, suddenly aware of how odd this tableau must look. The three of us in my living room, Christmas tree twinkling beside us like nothing was wrong. Jessica she's not just someone I'm involved with, Robert said, taking a deep breath. She's also my business partner. I blinked, trying to process this new information. Business partner? What business? You work at Meridian Investments. I did. He nodded. Until 3 months ago. 3 months? My mind raced. You left your job 3 months ago and didn't tell me? I didn't leave exactly. I started my own firm. With Jessica. The room seemed to tilt again. You started a business. Without telling me. With her. It happened quickly. An opportunity came up that we couldn't pass on. A major client wanted to move with me if I went independent. Jessica had the connections to bring in additional investors. And you didn't think your wife of 23 years deserved to know about this massive life change? Robert exchanged a look with Jessica that spoke volumes. They had discussed this. Planned how to tell me. Rehearsed, perhaps. I was going to tell you after the new year, he said. Once the business was more established. I didn't want you to worry about the financial risk. How considerate. I turned to Jessica. And how exactly did you become my husband's business partner? She sat up straighter. I was a client manager at Meridian. I worked with Robert on several key accounts. When this opportunity arose, it made sense for us to partner. Partner in every sense of the word, apparently. She had the grace to blush. The personal relationship developed later. Did it? I asked, not bothering to hide my skepticism. Ellen, Robert interjected. The point is, there's more at stake here than just our marriage. We have a business together now. Clients who depend on us. Employees. Employees? How many? 7, Jessica supplied. All of whom left secure positions at Meridian to join us because they believe in Robert's vision. His vision, not their vision. Interesting. So let me get this straight, I said, folding my hands in my lap to keep them from shaking. You left your job, started a business with this woman, began sleeping with her, and planned to tell me when, exactly? After Christmas? When the kids went back to school? When it was convenient for you? I was trying to protect you, Robert insisted. The business is still in its early stages. It's risky. I didn't want you to worry about our financial security. Our financial security. I repeated the words slowly. Tell me, Robert, exactly how much of our money, our joint savings, did you invest in this new business venture without telling me? The look that passed between them told me everything. How much? I pressed. The initial investment was substantial, Robert admitted, but it's already showing returns. We landed the Westfield account last month. That alone will... How much? Robert. He sighed. 800,000. The number hit me like a physical blow. Almost all of our retirement savings. The money we'd painstakingly set aside over decades. My inheritance from my parents. Gone. Invested in a business I knew nothing about with a woman who was sleeping with my husband. In that moment, something shifted inside me. The shock and pain didn't disappear, but they crystallized into something harder, colder, clearer. "Get out," I said, my voice calm. "Both of you. Get out of my house." "Ellen, please," Robert started. "No." I stood up, surprising myself with how steady I felt. "You've made your choices, Robert. Without my knowledge, without my consent. You've taken my money, my trust, and my future. You don't get my forgiveness, too." Jessica stood, tugging gently on Robert's sleeve. "We should go. This isn't going anywhere productive right now." He hesitated, then nodded. "I'll call you tomorrow, Ellen, when you've had time to process this." "Don't bother," I said. "My lawyer will be in touch." The word lawyer landed like a bomb in the room. Robert's face paled. "Ellen, don't be hasty. We can work this out, for the kids, for our future." "Our future?" I laughed, the sound entirely devoid of humor. "Our future ended the moment you decided to build a new one with her." After they left, I sat motionless in the quiet house, my mind working with a clarity I hadn't felt in years. $800,000, almost our entire retirement fund. Invested in a business I knew nothing about, without my knowledge or consent. Something about that didn't add up. Robert was many things, but financially reckless had never been one of them. And while Illinois was not a community property state, major financial decisions involving joint assets typically required both spouses' signatures. I went to our home office, a small room off the living room that we'd converted from a den when the kids started high school. Robert's desk was meticulous as always, each item in its place. I sat in his chair and turned on his desktop computer, password protected, of course. I tried our usual shared passwords, combinations of children's birthdays and anniversary dates. Nothing worked. I tried Jessica, still locked. Then, on a hunch, I typed Westbridge Partners, the name he'd mentioned of his new venture. The screen unlocked. I began methodically going through his files, folders, emails. At first I found nothing unusual, just the normal detritus of digital life. Then I noticed a folder labeled simply WB. Inside were documents related to the new business, incorporation papers, client agreements, financial projections, and there it was, a PDF titled Initial Investment Structure. I opened it, scanning through pages of legal jargon until I reached a section labeled Capital Contributions. Robert Patterson, $800,000. Jessica Winters, $200,000. The document was dated 6 months ago, not 3 as Robert had claimed, but something else caught my eye. A signature page at the end. My signature was there, next to Robert's, authorizing the withdrawal from our joint retirement accounts. Except I had never signed such a document, never even seen it. My hands trembling now, I printed the page, examining the signature closely. It was good, very good, close enough to pass a cursory inspection, but it wasn't mine. The loop of the E was too tight, the crossing of the T too high. Someone had forged my signature. I continued searching, opening emails, documents, anything that might shed light on what was happening. In Robert's sent email folder, I found correspondence with a lawyer I didn't recognize, discussing the formation of the company. One line jumped out at me. Ellen's signature on the disclosure forms shouldn't be an issue as long as the transfers are completed quickly. The broker rarely checks beyond the signature itself. Cold rage settled over me. This wasn't just an affair, or even just a hidden business venture. This was fraud. Robert had forged my signature to access our retirement funds. I reached for my phone, then hesitated. Who would I call? The police? A lawyer? Our children? I needed to think carefully about my next steps. I continued searching through Robert's computer. In his cloud storage, I found a folder labeled Personal. It contained dozens of photos of him with Jessica, at dinners, on trips, at what appeared to be business functions. In many, they were obviously intimate, his arm around her waist, her head on his shoulder. The timestamps showed the earliest ones were from over a year ago, not 8 months as he'd claimed. Another folder contained property listings for luxury condos in downtown Chicago. Had they been planning to move in together? To use my retirement money to fund their new love nest? Then I found something that made my blood run cold. A draft email to our children. Saved, but never sent. Megan and Brian.
I've been trying to find the right time to tell you this, but there's never a good time for news like this. Your mother and I have decided to separate. This isn't a decision we've come to lightly, but after years of growing apart, we believe it's for the best.
The truth is, your mother has been struggling with depression for some time now, becoming increasingly withdrawn and difficult to live with. I've done my best to support her, but I can't put my own happiness on hold any longer. I've met someone who brings joy back into my life, and I hope in time you'll be happy for me. I'll be moving out after the new year. Your mother will keep the house for now, and I've made sure she'll be financially provided for. I hope you'll understand and support both of us during this difficult transition. He was planning to paint me as depressed, unstable, to position himself as the long-suffering husband who had finally found happiness elsewhere, to make our children pity me rather than blame him. And financially provided for? With what? After taking $800,000 from our retirement accounts, what exactly would be left for me? I sat back in the chair, my mind racing. In one afternoon, the foundation of my life had been completely upended. My husband of 23 years was not just having an affair, he was systematically dismantling our shared life while constructing a narrative that would absolve him of blame. I opened a new browser window and searched for divorce attorneys Chicago specializing in financial fraud. The first listing was for Mitchell Hammond, described as Illinois' premier legal specialist in high-conflict divorce involving financial misconduct. I wrote down his information. Then I did something I'd never done before. I took photos of every incriminating document I found, every email, every fraudulent signature, and uploaded them to my own private cloud storage account. Evidence. Next, I searched our financial statements, downloading copies of everything from the past year. I found the transactions showing the withdrawal from our retirement accounts. $800,000 transferred to an LLC called Westbridge Holdings 6 months earlier. The statement showed my e-signature authorizing the transfer. I checked our other accounts. Our joint checking and savings appeared untouched, though significantly lower than I'd expected. Had Robert been siphoning money from these accounts too? I'd always trusted him to handle our investments, focusing my attention on our day-to-day expenses. In the back of a file drawer, I found a folder labeled Life Insurance. Inside was a policy on Robert's life that I knew about, a standard term policy we'd taken out when the children were born. But beneath it was another policy I'd never seen before, a whole life policy on me, taken out just 4 months ago, with a death benefit of $2 million. Robert was the sole beneficiary. A chill ran through me. Why would Robert take out such a large policy on my life without telling me? Combined with the forged signatures and the narrative he was constructing about my mental health, it painted a disturbing picture. I took photos of the policy as well, adding them to my growing collection of evidence. My phone rang, startling me. Megan's name flashed on the screen. I took a deep breath before answering. "Mom?" Her voice was worried. "What's going on? Dad's not making any sense. And Brian said you threw him out?" "Honey," I said carefully, "this is complicated, and I don't want to put you in the middle. But yes, your father and I are having serious problems right now. Is it true? Does Dad have someone else?" So Robert had told her at least part of the truth. "Yes, sweetheart. I found out today. Her name is Jessica. Apparently they've been together for some time." "Oh, Mom." Her voice broke. "I'm so sorry. I can't believe Dad would do that. There's more to it, Megan. A lot more. But I don't want to burden you with all the details right now. I'm handling it." "Should we still come home for Christmas?" she asked, her voice small. "Brian and I can cancel our flights if it's too much." I thought about it for a moment. Christmas without my children would be unbearable. But Christmas with them, pretending everything was fine while their father paraded his new life elsewhere, seemed equally impossible. "Let me figure some things out first," I said finally. "I'll call you tomorrow with a plan." After we hung up, I continued my search through Robert's files. In his email trash, I found deleted correspondence with a realtor about selling our house. My house, the home I'd poured my heart into for decades. The emails were dated just 2 weeks ago. He'd been planning to sell our home without even telling me. The pieces were falling into place now, forming a picture so clear it was blinding. Robert hadn't just fallen in love with someone else. He'd been systematically preparing to leave me, financially and emotionally devastated, while presenting himself as the reasonable, caring party. The house phone rang, a landline we kept for emergencies. I answered without checking the caller ID. "Ellen, it's Catherine." My sister's voice was tight with concern. Megan just called me crying. What the hell is going on? Catherine, my brilliant, fierce older sister who'd never trusted Robert completely, who'd warned me when we got engaged that he seemed too polished, too perfect, who'd been right all along. Catherine, I said, my voice steadier than I expected. I need your help. He did what? Catherine's voice crackled over the speakerphone as I drove toward downtown Chicago the next morning. After hearing the full story, she had immediately booked a flight from New York, scheduled to arrive that afternoon. Forged my signature to withdraw $800,000 from our retirement accounts, I repeated, changing lanes on the expressway. And that's just what I've confirmed so far. Ellen, that's criminal. Literal criminal fraud. Have you called the police? Not yet. I'm on my way to meet with Mitchell Hammond, the attorney I told you about. Good. You need serious legal protection here. Catherine's voice softened slightly. How are you holding up? It was a simple question that I didn't have a simple answer for. The shock of yesterday had given way to a strange, cold clarity. I hadn't slept, spending the night documenting everything I could find, making copies, taking photos, creating a timeline of Robert's deception. I'm functioning, I said finally, which is all I can ask of myself right now. I'll be there by 3. Don't make any major decisions until we can talk in person. After we hung up, I focused on navigating through morning traffic to the gleaming downtown tower where Mitchell Hammond's office was located. I'd called at 7 a.m., as soon as their office opened, and explained enough of my situation that his assistant had immediately offered me an emergency consultation. The office was exactly what you'd expect from a high-powered divorce attorney. Tasteful, expensive furnishings, designed to convey both success and discretion. Hammond himself was a surprise, though. Instead of the aggressive shark I'd imagined, he was a soft-spoken man in his 60s with kind eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses. Mrs. Patterson, he greeted me, ushering me into his office with a gentle handshake. Please sit down. Would you like coffee? Ellen, please. And yes, coffee would be wonderful. I didn't sleep last night. Once we were settled with steaming mugs, Hammond leaned forward slightly. So, Ellen, on the phone, you mentioned financial fraud, forged signatures, and an affair. Why don't you start at the beginning and tell me everything? For the next hour, I laid out the events of the past 2 days, showing him the evidence I'd gathered, the forged signatures, the emails about selling our house, the new life insurance policy, the draft email to our children painting me as mentally unstable. Hammond took notes, occasionally asking clarifying questions. His expression remained neutral, professional, but I could see a tightening around his eyes as the story unfolded. And you had no idea about any of this until you found the gift under your Christmas tree? He asked when I'd finished. None. I knew things had been different between us lately. Robert working late, being less communicative. But I attributed it to normal marriage ebbs and flows, stress at work. Not this. He nodded thoughtfully. What you've described goes well beyond the typical divorce case, Ellen. The forgery of your signature on financial documents is criminal fraud. The narrative construction about your mental health combined with that large life insurance policy is concerning, to say the least. You think he was setting me up for something worse than divorce, I said flatly, giving voice to the fear that had kept me awake all night. Hammond chose his words carefully. I wouldn't speculate about intent, but I will say the pattern of behavior you've described raises serious red flags that go beyond civil matters. Have you secured your personal safety? My sister is flying in from New York today. I won't be alone in the house. Good. I'd also recommend changing the locks immediately and installing a security system if you don't already have one. I changed the alarm code last night after Robert left, I said, and I've moved our important documents to a safe deposit box this morning before coming here. He nodded approvingly. You're thinking clearly. That's good. Now, here's what I recommend as immediate next steps. For the next half hour, Hammond outlined a strategy that was both defensive and offensive. First, protection, securing my remaining assets, documenting everything, ensuring my physical safety. Then, legal action, an emergency petition to freeze all our joint assets, a formal divorce filing with evidence of fraud, and possibly coordination with the district attorney's office regarding the criminal aspects of Robert's actions. What about the children? I asked. They're coming home for Christmas in 2 days. I don't know what to tell them. Hammond's expression softened. The truth, Ellen, as much as is appropriate given their age and relationship with their father. They're adults, yes? Yes, both in college. Then they deserve to know the basic facts, not to burden them or turn them against their father, but because they're part of this family and will be affected by these events. Keep it simple, factual, and focus on your love for them." I nodded, tears threatening for the first time since sitting in his office. "I keep thinking about Christmas. All our traditions, our plans. It's all ruined now." "It's changed," Hammond corrected gently. "Not ruined. Different than you expected. Certainly painful, but not destroyed. You and your children can create new traditions, new memories." As I left Hammond's office with a thick folder of paperwork to complete and a follow-up appointment scheduled for the next day, I felt a strange sense of purpose replacing the shock and betrayal. Robert had made his choices. Now, I would make mine. My phone rang as I reached my car. An unknown number. "Mrs. Patterson?" A woman's voice I didn't recognize. "This is Andrea Collins from First National Bank. I'm calling because we've noticed some unusual activity on your joint accounts with Robert Patterson. Is this a good time to talk?" My heart raced. What kind of unusual activity? "There was an attempt this morning to transfer $175,000 from your joint savings account to an external account. It was flagged by our security system because it's significantly larger than your typical transactions. So Robert was still trying to drain our accounts, even after being discovered. I didn't authorize that transfer, Ms. Collins. In fact, I'd like to freeze all joint accounts immediately. I can help you with that. Would you be able to come into a branch with identification to fill out the necessary paperwork? I'll be there in 30 minutes. By mid-afternoon, I had frozen our joint accounts, met with a locksmith to change the locks on our home, and scheduled a real estate attorney to place a lien on our house preventing its sale without my consent. Each action felt like reclaiming a piece of my life, rebuilding the foundation that Robert had tried to destroy. Catherine's taxi pulled up just as I was finishing with the locksmith. "My God, Ellen," she said, wrapping me in a fierce hug. "I'm so sorry. And so proud of you for how you're handling this." We settled in the kitchen with cups of tea, and I brought her up to speed on everything I'd done since our morning call. "Hammond sounds good," she nodded, "and freezing the accounts was smart. What's your next step?" "I'm meeting with the bank manager tomorrow morning about the retirement accounts. Hammond thinks we can make a case for fraud and potentially recover some of the funds, though it's complicated by the fact that Robert and I were married when he made the transfers." Catherine's eyes narrowed. "And what about Robert himself? Has he tried to contact you today?" 17 missed calls. Dozens of texts. I haven't responded to any of them. "Good. Let him sweat." She sipped her tea thoughtfully. "Have you thought about what you'll say to Megan and Brian?" I sighed, the weight of that conversation heavy on my heart. I've been drafting and redrafting it in my head all day. How do I tell them their father isn't who they thought he was? Who I thought he was? "With love and honesty," Catherine said simply. "They're adults, Ellen. They can handle the truth." My phone buzzed with a text. Robert again. "Ellen, please talk to me. I know you're upset, but we need to discuss this like rational adults. The business situation is complicated, and I'm worried you're going to do something we'll both regret." Catherine read the message over my shoulder and snorted. "Worried you'll expose his fraud, more likely. He doesn't know what I've found," I realized. "He thinks I'm just angry about the affair, and maybe the business partnership. He has no idea I've seen the forged signatures, the life insurance policy, any of it." "That's your advantage," Catherine said. "Keep it that way for now." The doorbell rang. Through the security camera I'd installed that morning, I could see Robert standing on the porch, shifting nervously from foot to foot. "It's him," I said. "I don't want to see him." Catherine squeezed my hand. "You don't have to, not without your attorney present." The doorbell rang again, more insistently. Then Robert's voice called through the door. "Ellen, I know you're in there. Your car is in the driveway. Please, just 5 minutes. That's all I'm asking." Catherine stood. "Let me handle this." "Catherine, no," but she was already striding to the door, her New York confidence on full display. She flung it open, blocking the entrance with her body. "Hello, Robert. Surprised to see me?" I couldn't hear his response, but Catherine's voice carried clearly. "No, Ellen doesn't want to speak with you. Any communication can go through her attorney." "Yes, her attorney, Mitchell Hammond. I'm sure you'll be hearing from him very soon." There was a pause, then Catherine again. "I wouldn't try that approach if I were you, Robert. Ellen knows everything. The forged signatures, the emptied retirement accounts, the life insurance policy, The draft email painting her as mentally unstable. Everything. Another pause. Threatening her won't work either. We've documented it all, Robert. Every email, every document, every transaction. Copies are with her attorney, with me, and in secure locations you'll never access. So I suggest you leave now, before I call the police and report the financial fraud we've discovered. 5 years in federal prison doesn't sound like a fun way to spend your new romance, does it? I heard the sound of retreating footsteps. Then Catherine closed and locked the door. There, she said, returning to the kitchen. That should give him something to think about. 3 days later, December 23rd, I sat in Hammond's office again, this time with Catherine beside me and Robert across the table with his own attorney, a sleek man named James Donovan, who specialized in high-net-worth divorces. Robert looked haggard, his normally impeccable appearance showing signs of strain, wrinkled shirt, dark circles under his eyes, hair uncombed. Thank you all for agreeing to this meeting, Hammond began. I think we have an opportunity here to discuss how to proceed in a way that minimizes damage to all parties. Donovan nodded. My client is open to generous terms. He recognizes that the situation is complex. Complex? I repeated, unable to keep silent despite Hammond's earlier coaching to let him do the talking. Is that what we're calling forgery and fraud now? Ellen, Robert started, leaning forward. If you'd just let me explain. Hammond raised a hand. Mr. Patterson, all communication should go through counsel. That was the agreement for this meeting. Robert subsided, a flash of the old annoyance crossing his face. He wasn't used to being silenced. Let's be clear about where we stand, Hammond continued. We have documented evidence of signature forgery on financial documents, unauthorized transfers of jointly held retirement assets, and what appears to be a systematic attempt to diminish Mrs. Patterson's financial and personal standing. Under Illinois law, these actions constitute both civil and potential criminal violations. Donovan's expression remained neutral. My client disputes the characterization of his actions as fraudulent. The signatures were authorized through verbal agreement during the marriage, and the business venture benefits both parties as equal marital partners. Verbal agreement? I couldn't help myself. That's a lie, and you know it, Robert. Mrs. Patterson, Hammond said gently, please. I forced myself to sit back, hands clenched in my lap. Catherine placed her hand over mine, a silent reminder to stay calm. Let me be direct, Hammond continued. We are prepared to file criminal charges for the forgery, unless an immediate and equitable separation agreement is reached. Furthermore, we've initiated proceedings with the Illinois Department of Financial and Professional Regulation regarding ethical violations in Mr. Patterson's new business venture. For the first time, Robert looked genuinely alarmed. You can't do that. It would destroy everything we've built. Everything you've built, I corrected, ignoring Hammond's warning glance. With my money. Without my knowledge. Donovan leaned in. What exactly are you proposing? Hammond slid a document across the table. These are our terms. Non-negotiable. As Donovan reviewed the paper, Robert's face grew increasingly pale. The terms were severe, but fair. Return of the full $800,000 to a newly established retirement account in my name only. The family home and its contents to remain exclusively mine. A significant portion of Robert's interest in the new business transferred to me as compensation for the unauthorized use of marital assets and full financial transparency during the divorce proceedings. This is extortion, Robert finally said, voice tight with anger. You're trying to ruin me. No, Robert, I said quietly. You did that yourself. Donovan placed a restraining hand on Robert's arm. We'll need time to review these terms. You have 24 hours, Hammond replied. After that, we proceed with the criminal complaints. Robert stood abruptly. I need to use the restroom. As he left, Donovan sighed. Off the record, Mrs. Patterson. I understand your anger, but criminal charges will damage everyone involved, including your children. Don't, Catherine interjected sharply. Don't you dare use her children as leverage. It's not leverage. It's reality. No one wins in a situation like this. When Robert returned, his composure had been restored somewhat. I'd like to speak with Ellen privately. Just 5 minutes. Hammond looked at me questioningly. I hesitated, then nodded. 5 minutes. Everyone else filed out of the conference room, leaving me alone with the man I'd once trusted with my life. Ellen, he began, voice softer now. This isn't who we are. 23 years together. And you're ready to send me to prison? I don't know who we are anymore, Robert. I don't even know who you are. The man I married wouldn't have stolen from me, lied to me, tried to make our children think I was mentally unstable. He winced at the last part. That draft email, I never sent it. It was just, I was trying to find a way to explain things. By painting me as depressed and difficult? By setting me up as the villain in our marriage? I was confused, Ellen, torn between two worlds. No, Robert, you were calculating. The forged signatures, the life insurance policy, the plans to sell our house without telling me. Those weren't confused actions. They were deliberate. He stared at his hands for a moment. Jessica's pregnant. The words hit me like a physical blow. Pregnant. A baby. A new family forming from the ashes of mine. 3 months, he continued when I didn't respond. We were going to tell everyone after the holidays. 3 months. The timeline made my stomach churn. So, your plan was what, exactly? Drain our accounts, sell our house, discard me, and start over with your new family? With my retirement funding your new life? It wasn't like that, he insisted, but there was no conviction in his voice. Then what was it like, Robert? Explain it to me. Make me understand how the man who promised to love and honor me could systematically dismantle our life together while building a new one behind my back. He had no answer. The baby changes nothing, I said finally. If anything, it makes your actions worse. You weren't just having an affair. You were creating a whole parallel life, funded with money you stole from me. I didn't steal. You forged my signature, Robert. You took money I earned, money I saved, money I inherited from my parents, without my knowledge or consent. What would you call it? He fell silent again. Here's what's going to happen, I continued, finding strength in my anger. You're going to sign Hammond's agreement. You're going to return my money. You're going to transfer part of your business to me as compensation. And you're going to tell our children the truth. Not your version of it. The actual truth. Ellen, be reasonable. If you take part of the business, if you push for criminal charges, you'll destroy everything. Jessica and I won't have anything to support the baby. You should have thought of that before you committed fraud. What about our children? What about Christmas? They're arriving tomorrow. Yes, they are. And I'll be there to welcome them home. You, however, will not be in my house. Our house, he corrected automatically. Not anymore. Check the paperwork, Robert. I've placed a lien on the property. You can't sell it without my consent. You can't force me out. And according to Hammond, given your financial misconduct, any judge in Cook County will award me the house in the divorce. His face hardened. You've changed, Ellen. No, Robert. I've woken up. There's a difference. When the others returned to the conference room, Robert and Donovan were huddled in intense conversation. Finally, Donovan addressed Hammond. We need until tomorrow morning to review the terms. We'll have an answer for you by 10 a.m. Hammond nodded. Acceptable, but not a minute later. As we prepared to leave, Robert caught my eye. Ellen, what are you telling the kids? I looked at him steadily. The truth, Robert. Something you should try sometime. Catherine and I spent the evening preparing for Megan and Brian's arrival the next day. We cleared all of Robert's toiletries from the bathrooms, moved his clothes to the guest room closet, and removed his personal items from the bedside table. It felt strange, methodically erasing evidence of his presence in our home, but also oddly liberating. You know he's going to sign, Catherine said as we made up the children's beds with fresh sheets. He can't risk criminal charges, not with a new baby on the way. I know, I replied, but it doesn't feel like a victory. It's not a victory, she said gently. It's survival, and you're doing it beautifully. The next morning, Hammond called with news. Robert has agreed to all terms. His attorney is drawing up the paperwork now. We should have signed documents by this afternoon. Thank you, I said, relief washing over me. For everything. Don't thank me yet. This is just the beginning of a long process, but it's a good start. I hung up and turned to Catherine, who was arranging Christmas cookies on a platter. He signed. She smiled, a fierce pride in her eyes. Of course he did. He never stood a chance against you, Ellen. He just didn't know it until now. The airport was crowded with holiday travelers when Catherine and I arrived to pick up Megan and Brian. Christmas decorations hung from every available surface, carols played through the speakers, and harried parents chased excited children through the terminal. Ordinary holiday chaos that felt surreal against the backdrop of my imploding marriage. There they are. Catherine pointed toward the baggage claim where Megan and Brian stood together, scanning the crowd. They spotted us at the same moment, and Megan's face broke into a wide smile. She elbowed Brian, and they both waved. Seeing my children, their faces so familiar yet somehow more adult each time they returned home, made my heart swell with a complicated mix of love and sorrow. They didn't know yet how drastically their family had changed in the past week, how different this Christmas would be from all the ones before it. Hugs were exchanged, bags were collected, and soon we were driving home through light snowfall. The conversation in the car remained deliberately light. Classes, friends, travel delays. I caught Brian studying me in the rearview mirror several times, questions in his eyes that he wasn't yet asking. At home, I let them settle in, unpack, shower away the travel grime. Catherine busied herself making hot chocolate, our traditional welcome home treat, while I sat in the living room, gathering my courage for the conversation ahead. When they finally joined me, mugs in hand, the artificial normalcy couldn't be maintained any longer. "So," Brian said, placing his mug carefully on a coaster. "Where's Dad?" I took a deep breath. "Your father isn't living here right now. We're separating." Megan's hand flew to her mouth. Brian's face hardened. "I know this is difficult and shocking," I continued. "It's been a difficult and shocking week for me too." "Is this because of the woman?" Megan asked quietly. "The one Dad mentioned?" I nodded. "Partly. Her name is Jessica. Your father has been involved with her for some time. But there's more to it than just the affair." Over the next hour, I explained everything. Finding the gift, discovering the business partnership, learning about the forged signatures and financial fraud. I didn't mention the life insurance policy or the draft email painting me as unstable. Some things they didn't need to know, at least not yet. Brian listened in stunned silence. Megan cried quietly, Catherine's arm around her shoulders. "I can't believe Dad would do this," Brian finally said, his voice thick with emotion. "It doesn't sound like him at all." "I thought the same thing," I admitted, "but the evidence is undeniable." "Where is he staying?" Megan asked. "I'm not sure. With Jessica, perhaps. He's asked to see you both, of course. That's entirely up to you. I won't stand in the way of your relationship with your father." Brian stood abruptly. "I need some air." He grabbed his coat and headed out the back door to the yard where he'd played as a child. Megan wiped her eyes. "I just don't understand. Why would he risk everything? Our family, his reputation, his freedom. For what? A new life? A do-over?" I shook my head. "I wish I knew, sweetheart. People make choices every day. Small ones that eventually lead to big ones. Your father made a series of choices that led him away from us, away from the life we built together. Jessica is pregnant," she said suddenly. I stared at her. "You knew?" She nodded miserably. "Dad told me yesterday. Made me promise not to tell you or Brian. Said he wanted to handle it himself. I should have warned you." "Oh, Megan, this isn't your burden to carry. None of this is your fault. It's going to be so weird, having a half-sibling who's younger than my future children will be. A father who has a whole other family." I reached out and took her hand. "We'll figure it out. Together. One day at a time." Later that evening, after Megan and Brian had gone to bed, Catherine and I sat in the kitchen, sharing a bottle of wine. "You did good today," she said. "Honest but not vindictive. They needed that. I'm worried about Brian. He idolizes his father." Catherine nodded. "It's a hard fall when our heroes disappoint us. But he's stronger than you think. They both are. I just keep asking myself if I could have prevented this somehow. If I missed signs I should have seen." "Ellen, stop. This isn't on you. Robert made his choices." I twisted my wedding ring, still on my finger despite everything. 23 years, Catherine. Almost half my life with him. How do I just move forward from that? "One step at a time," she said simply. "Just like you've been doing all week. Making tough decisions. Taking back your power. Building something new from the ruins." The next day, Christmas Eve, was traditionally when we'd host a small gathering for neighbors and close friends. I'd canceled it, of course, but Megan suggested we still make our traditional dinner, just the four of us. "It won't be the same," she said as we prepared the meal together, "but it will still be us. Still family." As we worked in the kitchen, I found myself smiling despite everything. This was what mattered. These moments with my children. creating memories that would sustain us through the difficult times ahead. The doorbell rang just as we were setting the table. Brian went to answer it, returning with a stricken expression. "It's Dad," he said. With Jessica, my heart raced. "Tell him now isn't a good time. I already told him we're about to have dinner, but he insists on seeing you. Says it's important." I exchanged looks with Catherine. "I'll handle it." At the door, Robert stood awkwardly, Jessica slightly behind him. She looked uncomfortable, one hand resting protectively on her still flat stomach. "Ellen," Robert began, "I know this is inappropriate, but I needed to give you this in person." He held out a thick envelope. "What is it?" I asked, not taking it. "The signed agreement from yesterday, and a letter. For you and the kids, trying to explain everything. You could have had your attorney send the agreement. I know, but I needed to see you, to tell you in person how sorry I am, for all of it." For a moment, looking at him standing there, the man I'd loved for over 2 decades, the father of my children, I felt a complicated surge of emotion. Not forgiveness, not yet, but perhaps the first stirrings of acceptance that what we'd had was truly over. "I accept your apology, Robert, but it doesn't change anything." He nodded, eyes downcast. "I know. I just hope someday, not forgiveness maybe, but understanding. Perhaps. Someday." Jessica stepped forward slightly. "Mrs. Patterson, Ellen, I want to apologize too. This situation, it's not how anyone would have wanted things to happen." I looked at her. This young woman carrying my husband's child, wearing designer boots I could never afford, her future secured with money that should have been mine. I could hate her, easily, but what would that accomplish? Life rarely goes as planned, Jessica. I'm learning that lesson very thoroughly this week. Robert shifted uncomfortably. "We won't intrude on your evening any further. I just wanted to deliver this personally, and to ask, may I call the kids tomorrow? Just to wish them Merry Christmas? That's their decision to make, not mine." I took the envelope finally. "Goodbye, Robert." After they left, I returned to the kitchen where 3 anxious faces turned toward me. "Everything's okay," I said, placing the envelope on the counter. "Let's have dinner." That night, after everyone had gone to bed, I sat alone by the Christmas tree, its lights blinking softly in the darkened living room. I opened Robert's letter and read it slowly. Explanations, justifications, apologies, words that couldn't undo the damage he'd caused. When I finished, I folded it carefully and placed it back in the envelope. Perhaps someday I'd want to read it again. Perhaps not. Outside, snow fell steadily, covering everything in a clean white blanket. Tomorrow would be Christmas, different from any Christmas before it, but still Christmas. Still a day for family, for love, for hope. I thought about the journey ahead, the legal proceedings, the difficult conversations, the adjustments we'd all have to make. It wouldn't be easy. But sitting there in the quiet of my home, I felt something unexpected. Strength. Not the frantic energy of crisis management that had carried me through the past week, but something deeper, calmer, more enduring. I'd survived the worst betrayal of my life. I'd fought back. I'd protected what was mine. And I'd done it all without losing myself in bitterness or revenge. Whatever came next, I would face it with the same clarity and determination, not as Robert Patterson's wife, but as Ellen, just Ellen. Finally, after all these years, standing firmly on my own ground, the Christmas tree lights reflected in the window, merging with the falling snow outside. Beyond the glass, the world continued its eternal cycle of endings and beginnings. And for the first time in days, I felt ready to step into whatever beginning awaited me.